4 months before the wedding, Emily opened the banking app on her phone. She was excited, like a child opening a gift. She had been checking this app all week. The savings number was getting bigger every day. Now it had reached $22,140. She turned her phone to show Jason. In her mind, this number meant they were almost ready for the wedding. Jason looked at the number. His stomach dropped. He knew something Emily did not know. That number was wrong. It was wrong by $6,380. That was the exact amount he had secretly taken from this account over the last 8 months. He had used that money to pay off a credit card bill. Emily had never seen that bill. He smiled anyway. He told her it was amazing. He hugged her tightly, mostly so she could not see his face right now. This moment feels like the whole story, a lie, caught right in the middle of a happy moment. But the real story did not start in this living room. It started 8 months before, with one small decision. At the time, it did not even feel like a big decision. 8 months before the wedding, Jason was not a liar. He was a freelance designer with a simple money problem. This kind of problem happens to almost everyone at some point. One of his clients was late in paying him. His rent was due in 3 days. He had only $340 in his bank account. He needed $1,100. In that moment, applying for a credit card did not feel like taking on debt. It felt like getting help. He told himself it was just a short-term fix, 2 weeks maximum, until the client's payment arrived. The application took 90 seconds. The bank gave him a credit limit of $3,000. He did not tell Emily about this. Why? Because it did not feel important enough to mention. It felt like paying rent, not like making a big decision. This is the first important lesson about money secrets. They almost never start as a lie. They start as something too small to talk about. The client's payment did arrive 12 days later. But by then, some of that money had already gone to other things. A car repair he had not planned for. A birthday dinner he did not want to skip. The short-term fix never actually got fixed. It just kept going. 2 months after getting the first card, Jason owed $2,850 out of his $3,000 limit. His minimum payment was $95 every month. That was money he used to spend on other things. This is the point where the story changes. It stops being a simple cash problem. It becomes something bigger. Sitting in a coffee shop one day, Jason looked at an offer for a second credit card. He told himself he was not doing this to spend more money. He was doing this to pay off the first card. This new card had 0% interest for 12 months. He told himself this was the smart choice, the responsible choice. And in a way, that is not a crazy idea. Moving debt from one card to another is a real financial tool that many people use correctly. But something else was really happening under the surface. Jason was not solving his debt problem. He was just moving it to a new hiding place. And every time debt moves like this, it becomes harder for the people around you to notice it. He moved $2,000 onto the new card. It felt like progress, but it was not progress. It was still the same $2,000. It just had a new due date. That same week, Jason and Emily had their weekly money night. This was something they did together, checking their joint bank account, feeling proud of how well they were saving. Emily said they were ahead of schedule for the wedding venue payment. Jason agreed. He said nothing about the 2 credit cards sitting in his email inbox. This is the part nobody talks about in real relationships. 2 people can look like they are doing great with money together, and at the very same time, one of them can be quietly drowning just a few feet away from that same spreadsheet. 4 months before the wedding, Jason sat alone at his laptop. He transferred $400 out of the joint wedding fund into his own personal bank account. His hand stayed on the confirm button for 4 full seconds before he pressed it. Some part of him knew this was different from everything before. For 6 months, he had been dealing with his own problem, using his own money. This was the first time the debt stopped being only his problem. It quietly became Emily's problem too, without her ever agreeing to it or even knowing about it. In his head, his reason was simple. He would put the money back before the venue payment was due. He just needed some breathing space until his next client payment arrived. He believed this completely. This is what makes this kind of secret different from cruelty. Jason was not trying to hurt Emily. He was trying to protect her from something he felt deeply ashamed of. He used the only tool he had left, time. He was betting that his future self would fix what his past self had started. Over the next 4 months, this pattern repeated in small ways. He took on a stressful rush project and told himself the extra money was for the honeymoon fund. Another $180 left the joint account, and in his mind he labeled it temporary. He missed a video call with his groomsman because he was on the phone with his credit card company, trying to push back a due date. And on the other side, without saying a single word, Emily was checking the same joint account on her own phone. She paused sometimes, just for a second, when a number did not quite match what she expected. She was noticing, she was watching, she was waiting. Here is the detail that changes everything about this story. Jason had no idea this was true. Emily had noticed the strange numbers almost 2 months before he ever told her the truth. She said nothing, not because she had not seen it. She was waiting for something else. She was not trying to catch him doing something wrong. She was waiting to see if he would choose, by himself, to trust her with the truth. The night before the wedding, the rehearsal dinner ended. Jason and Emily came home. Their wedding dress and suit were hanging by the door, like a clock counting down. All evening, Jason had seemed far away, quiet, distracted. Emily had noticed. By now, she noticed everything. He sat down. This time, he did not pick up his phone. For the first time in 8 months, he looked directly at the thing he had been avoiding. He told her everything, from beginning to end, without stopping. 8 months ago, he had put a rent payment on a credit card because a client paid him late. Then he got a second card to secretly pay off the first one. And for the last 4 months, money had been leaving their wedding fund to make the minimum payments, specifically so she would not notice the balance dropping. He owed $6,380 that she never knew about. And he had lied to her, not just once, but every single time she smiled at that growing account balance, and he let her believe it was true. His voice broke near the end. He told her he had truly believed he would fix everything before she ever found out. He had told himself that so many times, it started to feel like a real plan instead of just a hope. He was not asking her to forgive him that same night. He just said he could not marry her with this secret still sitting between them. He waited for the wedding to fall apart, right there, 12 hours before it was supposed to begin. Instead, Emily picked up her phone. She told him she already knew. She had known for 2 months. The numbers had stopped matching back in March because she checked the same account he did. She just never talked about it out loud. She had said nothing because she wanted to see if he would tell her himself. Not because she had caught him red-handed, because he had chosen to be honest, on his own. She turned her phone around and showed him a list of small transfers, money going into their joint account, $150 here, $220 there, extra deposits Jason had never made. She had quietly been closing the gap he thought only he could see. For 2 months, she had been adding extra money into the fund, not to fix his debt for him, but to make sure that whatever happened that night, their wedding would not be paid for using a lie that only one of them had to carry. Emily had not been protecting the wedding fund all this time. She had been protecting their marriage. She gave Jason something money could never buy back once it was gone, the chance to choose honesty on his own, before it was forced on him. 3 things matter more than the actual debt amount in this story. The first is the delay multiplier. Every extra month Jason waited to tell the truth did not just add 1 more month of stress, it multiplied the problem, because now he had to explain both the debt and the silence around it. A secret kept for 1 month costs 1 simple apology. A secret kept for 8 months costs 8 months of "why didn't you tell me sooner?" And that question is often much harder to answer than the original mistake. The second is the discovery discount. If Emily had discovered this debt by accident, instead of being told the truth by Jason himself, the damage to their trust would have been much, much bigger, maybe impossible to fully repair. The only reason this story ends in a wedding and not a broken engagement is that Jason chose to tell the truth on his own. He paid this cost willingly, before it was forced on him. The third is the Grace Dividend, Emily's choice to wait, watch, and quietly help, instead of confronting him with anger, is the rarest and bravest part of this entire story. This was not because she did not understand what was happening. She saw the same numbers Jason saw. It was a bet that their relationship could survive one mistake, if that mistake was allowed to become an honest confession instead of an angry accusation. This kind of bet does not always work out, but when it does, it becomes one of the strongest things two people can build together. Most money advice tells you to save an emergency fund, track your spending, and avoid high-interest debt. All of this is true and useful, but almost nobody tells you that the most expensive interest rate in your entire financial life is not printed on any credit card. It is the interest rate on the truth you are choosing not to tell the person closest to you. That interest builds up every single day, and it is the one debt collector who never sends you a warning letter before showing up at your door. On their wedding day, nobody spoke about any of this. There was no retelling of the confession, no list of numbers read out loud at the altar. There were simply two people standing there, having chosen, at the very last possible moment, the harder, more honest version of this story, instead of the easier, hidden one. Jason still has some debt left to pay off. That part of his story is not finished. It rarely is, for anyone. But the part of the debt that could have actually cost him everything, his marriage, his future, was paid off the night before the wedding, in a living room, using just 12 simple words. I need to tell you something, and I need you to let me finish. That is the only kind of interest payment that can truly buy back trust. Not money, timing. If this story hit different, it's because debt was never the real problem here. Silence was. Subscribe to Wealth Theory because the most expensive interest rate in your life is the one on the truth you're not telling someone.